Hello and welcome to your prenatal yoga class. My name is Shantelle and I'm so happy you're here. I'll be the one guiding you through your practice today. So today's class is all about unwinding and releasing any stress that's accumulated in the body and in the mind. And we'll get started when you're ready. If you do have a bolster, make sure and have that handy. A block is also something that will be nice to have handy. And if you have a blanket, by all means, bring it along for the ride. You do not need any of these props, but if you have them, they can make your practice a lot more comfortable. All right, so when you're ready, we'll grab the bolster if you've got one and come down to the ground onto your side. Whichever side you want to start with, right side or the left side. You can use your bottom arm, that bottom bicep is a pillow for the head. And then you can just rest the top leg on top of the bolster if you have one. Again, it's not necessary, but it makes this pose a little more comfortable if you do. So we're just going to start the class with allowing yourself to settle into this relaxing pose right off the bat. And just tune in. Notice how your body is feeling. Notice how active your mind is in this moment. Maybe even bringing your hand to belly and connecting with baby. Coming to your breath, paying attention to your natural inhales and exhales. Remembering to honor your body throughout today's class. Just know that there is always a modification if something does not feel quite right. You can start to invite in the calming breath, which is where you concentrate on your exhales. So allowing your exhales to be longer than your inhales. So inhale deeply through the nose, filling up the lungs and the belly. And then as you exhale through the nose, see if you can concentrate on allowing it to be complete without holding the breath at the end. Just allow the inhale to naturally happen as the exhale finishes. And continue this breathing technique for the rest of the class, if it feels comfortable for you. So by paying closer attention to our exhales and allowing our inhales to remain full, we're helping to trigger the body's parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest system. So allowing us to calm the body and the mind. When you're ready, you can slowly start to invite in a little bit of movement. Maybe slowly blinking the eyes open if they have been closed. You can take some circles with the wrists and the ankles. Maybe lifting the head and using your hands to rise you up to seated as you push the bolster away from you if you have one. Just to make room for you to rise all the way up to seated. All right. And then once you're seated, we'll start in a cross-legged pose. So whatever feels best for you, you can cross the legs or you can send them straight out in front of you, whichever feels best. We'll inhale, we'll lengthen up through the body. And as you exhale, we're going to slowly just start to take some circles with the neck as slowly as you comfortably can. Going in one direction 3 times, and then we're going to switch and go the other direction 3 times. Remembering to sit up tall through the back body. Shoulders are relaxing down away from those ears. Maybe taking a moment to Notice any spots in the neck that might need some extra love. When you're done your 3 going one direction, feel free to switch. Feeling any tension that may have been held in the neck, be released, lighten up, and let it go. All right, once you're done, your neck circles, we'll bring the head back up to center. And then we're gonna bring the arms out wide to give a big hug to somebody in front of you. And then as you exhale, we're going to give ourselves a big hug. Walking the fingertips back towards the shoulder blades. Taking a moment here to breathe into the back body, that space between the shoulder blades. Maybe even inviting in a few more neck circles if you have some more Rice Krispie type sounds to be released. And then when you're ready, open. Prepare for the big hug. And then we're gonna switch the opposite arm on top and give yourself that big hug again. Walking the fingers towards the shoulder blades, almost as though you're helping to peel the shoulder blades slightly open and apart with those fingertips. Sending your breath to that space between the shoulder blades and then into the neck, wherever you might feel a little bit of stiffness. And then when you're ready, release. Shake out those shoulders. Okay, and then we're going to come into some side bends. So when you're ready, inhale, rise the arms all the way up overhead. Fingertips can reach towards the sky. And then as you exhale, plant the right hand down, side bend towards the right. Again, keep the shoulders down away from the ears here. Anchoring down into the ground below you through the hips and the sit bones. And we'll switch sides. Inhale, rise up, lengthen. And then as you exhale, side bend the other way. One more time on each side. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, rise up. Last one. Exhale to bend. Next, inhale. When you're ready, rise on up. Fingertips towards the ceiling, palms towards each other. And then as you exhale, we're going to forward fold. So maybe that's just planting the hands on the ground and hinging slightly forward at the hips. It really just depends on how pregnant you are. Or you can slowly walk the hands away from you so that you can lower the upper body down closer to the ground. Again, paying attention to how your body feels here. It's a good idea to keep your stretches, your effort to about 80% of your max when you're pregnant. So not going all the way as far as you can go, but dialing it back a little bit so that you don't overdo anything. All right, and then slowly coming back, walking the hands back towards you. We're going to switch the cross of the legs. So you can plant the hands behind you and just remember how your legs are crossed to begin with. And we're going to put the other leg in front. You can shake out the legs a little bit before you do that if you want. Perfect. All right. And then from here, we're going to inhale, swoop the arms up overhead. And then exhale, twist towards the right. So the right hand can come behind you as your second spine, helping to stabilize you. Left hand can rest on the right thigh. Just remember to stay soft through the belly here. Continuing to breathe, steady, concentrating on those exhales. And keeping this twist gentle, especially if it's the first one you've done all day. And then inhale through center. And we're going to go the other way. So exhale, twist. With each inhale, lengthening up through the top of the head. Staying soft through the belly in the midsection, and then as you exhale, softening into the twist, whatever it might look like for you right now. One more time on each side. Inhale, rise up, and exhale, twist. A little bit quicker this time. Inhale, rise up through center, and then exhale for the last one. Next inhale, we're going to slowly come to center, fingertips up towards the sky, and then exhale, float those hands down to your legs, and we're going to take some circles. So as you inhale, you can come around to the side. I'm going to come around to my right and open the chest forward, all on my inhale. And as I exhale, I'm going to round the spine back, maybe even tucking the chin towards the chest, creating big circles with my chest. So we'll go 3 times in one direction. See if you can feel the release, the movement, releasing any stiff spots through the spine, the back body, maybe even down through the hips, the inner thighs. And then we're going to switch. Once you've done 3 one direction, go ahead and switch and go the other direction. Remembering to exhale as you round back. Inhale as you come forward. Accentuating this movement as much as you want to. And then once you're finished those 3, we'll come back through center, rise up through the top of the head, and then exhale, forward fold, whatever that looks like to you. Maybe it's the smallest little hinge forward at those hips. Maybe you can walk yourself a little further forward. Yogi's choice. Take a couple breaths here. Come back to your calming breath, allowing those exhales to be a bit longer than the inhales. And maybe even taking a moment here to discover one thing in your life at this moment that you are the most grateful for. So inviting the energy of gratitude into the body, into the practice. Could be anything. Could be for being able to move, for my body being able to make babies, being able to breathe clean air, drink clean water. Whatever it is that you are the most grateful for, keep this with you as we move through the rest of our practice. All right, when you're ready, slowly start to walk the hands back towards you as you rise up. And we're going to come onto all 4, so however you need to get there. And once you're on all 4s, we're going to come into our child's pose. So take the knees wide, big toes can come to touch, and you can sit the hips back towards the heels. Option number 1 is you can stay up high in this child's pose, maybe even the hips stay up high. If you are in your 3rd trimester, this might be a little more comfortable. Or if you can sit the hips back, feel free to do that. Maybe even lowering the forehead down to the ground. Coming back to your breath here. Maybe even rocking the head side to side slowly to massage the forehead into the ground. Again, another movement that helps to switch on that rest and digest system in our body, helping to calm the body and the mind. And here we're going to add a breathing technique called bumblebee breath. So bumblebee breath is where you breathe in through your nose and then you exhale through a closed mouth, creating a humming sound, a very low-pitched humming sound. Okay, so this is a beautiful breath practice to help with reducing any frustration or anger or anxiousness in your life. So this is a beautiful, beautiful breath practice to add to our yoga class today. So when you're ready, we'll do it together. Inhale through the nose and exhale. One more time. Inhale. And then inhale, slowly start to rise up in your own time. Coming to all fours, and then we're going to take some hip circles. So when you're ready, we're going to make nice big circles with the hips going back and then forward, to the side, back, to the side, forward. So continue to move like this. You can even add in some spinal movements here, like cat-cow, as you go through this. It's completely up to you. And when you're ready to switch, feel free to switch directions, balancing it out. Okay, last one, wherever you are. We're going to come into our downward dog. Take a step forward with the palms, creating more space between the palms and the kneecaps. Tuck the toes under and send the hips high. You can spread the feet wide on the mat to make room for baby to rest between the thighs, depending on how deep you can get into your down dog. Option to keep the knees bent here. You can pedal the feet one at a time, or the legs, releasing through the legs and the back body. If you are finding that you're having any blood pressure issues or nausea, feel free to keep your gaze forward so that your chin is over your heart, so it's still lifted. Take a couple breaths here once you find a comfortable down dog in some stillness. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring the gaze forward if it isn't already there. Take a big half step up the mat, nice and wide, and then walk the hands back towards your feet. Bend the knees, and you can rest the forearms on the thighs. Gaze forward, just helping the blood flow to return back to normal from our little inversion there, so you don't stand up and get really dizzy. All right, and when you're ready, use the power in those legs, pushing into the ground to rise you all the way up to standing. You can shake it out, take any movements that need to be taken, and then we're going to come up to the top of the mat. And we're going to rock back and forth through the feet and side to side, making contact as much as possible with the mat through the pads of the feet. And then just a little foot stretch. We're going to point the right toe behind us and push into the ground through the top of the foot and the toes, feeling a nice opening through the top of the foot. We'll do the other side. And then when you're ready, we're going to take a nice big step back with that right foot, staying up high into a high lunge, or you can plant the foot if you want a little more stability. It's up to you. And you want the feet to be separated a little bit. You don't want to be on the same plane, on imaginary train tracks, if you will, just so you're a little more stable here. And then as you inhale, you can send the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, you can grab onto the left wrist with the right fingers. Keep the biceps in line with the ears. And then as you exhale, you can side bend towards the right. And then rise up, switch the grasp, the bind, and then exhale, side bend towards the left. Inhale, rise up. You can release the arms down, interlace the fingers behind you. Option to keep the elbows bent or straighten the arms. Lift up through the chest and the roof of the head. Strong through the legs. Again, that back foot can be planted. Breathing deeply here. And then when you're ready, release those arms, shake them out. And we're going to open up into our warrior two, so that right foot gets planted even further back behind you, toes pointing towards the long side of the mat. Extend the arms. See if your pelvis is in the right spot. Imagine as though you have a nice hot drink in there, and you need to keep that drink in the pelvic bowl. Breathing deep here. And then we're going to come into our side angle. So when you're ready, you can bring the forearm down to the thigh, right forearm to right thigh. Option to extend the right arm up towards the sky. The block is going to come in handy here. So if you have the block, bring it into the inside edge of the left foot. If you don't need the block, then don't worry about it. All right, so option to keep the right arm lifted, or you can send it overhead. Breathing deep here. And then we're going to bring the right hand back to the hip, rise up slightly so you can straighten that front leg, send the hips back, and then sink into your triangle pose. So this is where your left palm can reach the block. Okay, you can keep a little micro bend through that front knee, through that right knee here if it's a little too much pressure on the joints. Soft through the belly if you can, coming back to your breath. And again, you can play with how high you need this block to be, but it's nice to have the block so that you are taking any excess engagement out of the core for the stability here, keeping the left hand either floating or planting it all the way on the ground. This helps to become a little more gentle with the abs, which are already under stress as it is as you grow. And then to come out of this, right hand to hip, bend through the front knee, get springy as you rise all the way up. You can bring the block to the other side. All right, and then we can come into a wide-legged forward fold. So toes can be pointing out slightly. Inhale, lengthen all the way up to the top of the head. And then as you exhale, forward fold. Again, if you need to keep your gaze forward, maybe you only come halfway down, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're feeling great and you want to come deeper into this, feel free to sink all the way down into your forward fold. Option to keep a little bend through the knees here. Bringing your weight into your heels. Turning the head from side to side. And then we're going to come out of this by bringing the forearms to the thighs. Again, gaze goes forward, lift the chest, lift the head. Take a few moments here before we engage those legs. Use the power in those legs to rise you up to standing. And we'll switch sides. So turn the right toes to face the front of the mat. And we're going to come into our high lunge here again. So imaginary train tracks. Inhale, rise the arms all the way up overhead. Gaze can go up if that feels good. Hips are in line with the front short edge of the mat. And then exhale, we're going to bring the left hand around the right wrist and side bend towards the left. Inhale, rise up. Switch your bind and exhale, side bend towards the right. Inhale, rise up. Interlace the fingers behind you in the way that it feels weird, the opposite way. Inhale, lengthen, maybe straighten the arms. Breathe deeply here. Keep that bend in the front knee. And then release through the arms. All right, we can plant that back foot on the ground, toes pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Keep the bend through the front knees tracking out towards the pinky toe of that front foot. Extend the arms, gaze can go past that front middle finger. Again, find that neutral pelvis. Breathe deeply. Powerful through those legs. And relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, but strong through the arms. All right, and then we're going to bring that right forearm to the right thigh. Left hand can come to the left hip. Roll the top shoulder open so that you're dialing the chest forward slightly. It doesn't have to be a big movement. Soft through the belly, extending the arm up above you, or maybe even overhead. Breathing here. Come back to that breath. And then when you are ready, this is where the block will come in handy. Bring that left hand to the left hip. Make sure the block's in place. And then you can rise up slightly so that you can straighten that front leg, that right leg, send the hips back, and then lower down into your triangle pose. Remembering to Try not to lock up through the neck here, so maybe turning the head from side to side just as a physical reminder. And then you can find your pose, maybe extending that left arm overhead. You can always keep that arm or that palm on the hip, whatever feels good for you. So just enjoying this, the sensation that you might be feeling from this posture through maybe the hips, maybe the lower back even. Sending your breath to any sticky spots, helping them to soften and release. All right, and then to come out of this, we're going to bring our gaze down, hand to the hip, get bendy through the front knee, and rise all the way up into your warrior two. Okay, again, facing the long edge of the mat, turn the toes slightly out. Nice big inhale here, and then as you exhale, find that forward fold. Whatever it looks like for you, allow the upper body to relax and release as much as you possibly can, feeling a slight traction from gravity pulling down at your upper body while the sit bones reach up towards the ceiling. Next, inhale, bring your gaze forward, bend the knees, walk the hands back slightly, maybe bringing the forearms to the thighs. You might have to heel toe the feet in a little bit here to make it feel more comfortable. Take a moment to reset. Allow that blood flow to come back to normal. And then when you're ready, rise all the way up to standing. Okay, and then coming back to the top of the mat. Bring the hands to heart center. Find your center. So centered, balance centered on the feet. The head is balanced over the heart is balanced over the pelvis. And then with your next big inhale, swoop the arms up overhead, gaze can go up. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at those hips, whatever that forward fold looks like for you. Inhale, halfway lift, extend the spine forward. Fingertips can come to shins or thighs. And then exhale, fold, let all the air out of your lungs as you step back into tabletop. And once you're in tabletop, we will come to seated actually. So bring the shins over to one side so you can roll over them all the way to seated. And then once you are seated, we're going to do a little bit of a hip opener here. So bring the legs straight out in front of you. And then you can use your hands behind you for extra support as you lean back and bend through the right knee, right ankle just above the left knee, flexing the toes here. Just sit up tall, maybe sending the chest slightly forward. Gaze can go up. Option to stay here, or if you want to go a little deeper, you can plant that left foot on the ground, bending through the knee, and this will take you a bit deeper. So breathing deeply here, really allowing this opening through the right hip to take place. And knowing if at any point this feels like it is more intense than what 80% of your max would be, you can always just straighten that bottom leg and maybe even come into a little bit of a forward fold here instead. So whatever version works for you. Last breath here. And then once you are finished, you can straighten that bottom leg. And we're going to rock the baby. So I'm going to turn to face you. So this lower part of your leg is the baby. So option to just grab a hold of the kneecap and the foot and lift it up and do a little rock from side to side. If you have it available to you, you're open and flexible enough, you can always tuck the knee into the crook of the elbow and the foot into the crook of the other elbow, but only do this if you can do this while remaining seated nice and tall through the spine. If you start to really hunch forward, then just take a different variation and then do a little rock from side to side. And then when you're ready, bring the pad of that right foot to meet the left inner thigh. Flexing the left toes up towards the ceiling, you can inhale, lengthen all the way up through the roof of the head. Right hand can come to the side body, and then as you exhale, slide that left hand down the straight leg towards the ankle. Once you get there, maybe dialing open that right shoulder, chest shining forward, soft through the belly. Feel a little bit of a release through the side body, this back side body. If you're not quite feeling it, you can always grab onto the big toe with the peace fingers and lower that elbow down to rest on the straight leg. Maybe even extending the right leg or right hand up overhead. Whatever feels good to you, whatever 80% of your max feels like today. Because it can change day to day. Breathing deeply here, coming back to the breath. Maybe even coming back to your gratitude. And then when you're ready to come out, we're going to plant that left hand onto the straight leg to assist you up and out. Take a little counter stretch or counter twist towards the right. And then we're going to place that left hand behind you on the mat. And as you inhale, you can rise those hips up overhead and then sink them back down. All right, and we'll go to the other side. So when you're ready, straighten out the legs. We're going to come into that hip opener. So left ankle just above the right kneecap. So option number one is just to sit up tall here, maybe hinging forward slightly. This might be all you need. Option number two is you can bend through that right leg, planting the right foot on the ground. Remembering to rise up tall through the chest and the back body. Notice if you're starting to round and hunch. If that's the case, then take the first variation where the bottom leg is straight. Coming back to the breath. Two more breaths here. And then once you are finished those 2 breath cycles, you can straighten that bottom leg. And we're gonna do the same thing on this side. So again, maybe grabbing onto the foot and the knee, or you can cradle it if that is accessible to you. And then creating a little side to side motion, loosening up through the hips a little bit more. And then when you're ready, allowing that foot to come to the inner thigh. Left hand to the left side body towards the back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, slide the right hand down the straight leg towards the ankle, dialing open the chest. And hanging out here, if this feels like enough for you, you're feeling it through the side body, this might be where you stay. Or taking it the step further with grabbing onto the big toe, bending through the elbow, maybe even sending the arm overhead. Up to you. So whatever variation you are in, come back to that calming breath where you are paying extra attention to complete exhales. Maybe even turning the head from side to side, reminding the body to release through the neck and shoulders. Last breath here. And then remember to come out of this. Use helping hands to help rise you up so you're not engaging what we just stretched, and do a little bit of a side bend. All right, and then planting that left hand behind you, you can rise up through the hips and the fingertips up towards the sky, and then exhale, lower down. All right, and we can bring the hands behind us, plant the feet wide, and just do a little tick-tock from side to side with the knees, bringing one knee down towards the center and then the other. And we're going to grab our bolster. So grab the bolster, bring it out in front of you, come down onto your side, just like what we started with. Bring that bolster under the top leg, find your relaxation pose, maybe bringing that hand to the belly, reconnecting with your breath, and taking a moment here to, again, think of everything in your life at this moment in time that you are the most grateful for. Gratitude energy is some of the most potent healing energy that you can invite into your practice, into your mind, into your body. So being able to find those silver linings or have deep, profound gratitude for even just one thing can help turn everything around. Maybe taking a few moments to send a little bit of love through the palm into the belly to surround your baby. And feel that love be returned, coming back from your baby through the palm into your body. Feel free to stay here for as long as you like. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.